Hey everybody, it's Greg again. It's another edition of Unbreakable podcast. It is Thursday, June the 26th, and we're back talking more crap. So, I forgot to mention yesterday. Yesterday was the 25th of June, and yesterday was exactly 6 months since Christmas and 6 months until Christmas. Exactly right in between there. So, I better get shopping. I'm late. By the time I wrap everything, and I hate that. It's probably the worst thing in the world that I can do is wrap. Wrap it. I hate to wrap. Just because I cut maybe my scissor talents not that good. All over the place. Miles and miles of scotch tape on the one little damn package there. But that's why I admire all the people in the world. I admire those little old ladies at the balls who just sit there behind the card tables and wrapping stuff for free for you. And that's really a talent. Uh, Next time, next holidays, I'm around. I'm going to go up to those ladies and say, I can commend you, not condemn. I was going to say condemn. That's not good. I commend you for wrapping things. Your life is wrapping, 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 wrapping. Anyway, that's sort of scary, isn't it? Knowing it's only 6 months to Christmas. Well, we all melt here in Pennsylvania. Another 90-degree day. Huh? Huh? Uh, Anyway, speaking of which, look at all this evil gear. Huh? Isn't that nice? I love it. I think I'm going to get laid out in this. I really do. I said, why wear a suit and you don't usually wear a suit, right? Have you ever thought of that? Don't be morbid. And I'm not being morbid, really. And I'm not being like a Debbie Downer. But have you ever thought about that? What you were going to be laid out in? Because it's going to come someday. But if you don't wear a suit, I very rarely wear a suit. Because why? I wore a suit like a lot of my life when I was a social. Why now? But if you don't wear it, you're gonna be there in the box wearing the suit, and you're gonna look like a phony. Like a phony. Of course, I'm not gonna care. But it's true. To me, I'm gonna eat with my Eagle gear, Phillies gear, and I'm gonna be proud as I go to the great beyond. That rainbow bridge in the sky with my pet friends. Anyway, so get everybody. It's only 6 months until Christmas. Get shopping there. We don't have much time to go. Speaking of which, yesterday the Eagles had their big shindig down at the shore yesterday, where Jason Kelsey and some of the other boys get together and they bartend and they spread goodwill, good cheer. It looked like a lot of fun. I saw pictures, I saw uh, video from the shore, and it looked like a lot of fun. In fact, at one time, Jason Kelsey got up on a step ladder, ripped off his bathing trunks, and there was a speedo. And there was a little girl standing nearby. I don't know, have you seen it? And little girl standing by. And when he ripped off his trunks and the speedo was there, she went, and she stayed like that, you know? Anyway, so great, great, great Eagles. That aren't they a lovable team? They're very fan friendly and people love them. People love them. You don't have like a rat on the team, like like the Steelers used to have Antonio Brown, one of these weirdos, Aaron Rodgers or the big Packers. No, the Eagles seem to be a bunch of really nice guys, and they mix with the fans, and the fans enjoy them, and it's really a good time in Philadelphia Eagle lore to be a fan and to be the Royals. And only a couple months until the season starts. You kick those Dallas Cowboys in the ass and start the year off. And you had the Sixers pick it last night. They picked a guy named VJ Edgecoat. VJ. Have your VJ. It sounds like V8, doesn't it? Remember V8? I hated it. But when I was a kid growing up, you had V8. They had like all the vegetables you don't usually like in a can and looking for. And they would like process them and it would be all like, yeah. Nowadays, I don't think you see too much of V8 because people can buy their vegetables fresh, stick them in the blender, and blend their own concoction of whatever they want every morning, right? But Sixers picked this VJ Hitchcock. He's another guard. They have a bunch of guards. They have Tyrese Maxey, the young Jared McCain, and if they choose to resign him, Quentin Grimes, who was really good last year. And at first I thought, what the hell? We're drafting all these guards and they have all these guards. And nobody, like, what about a big guy, What about a wing, like a Ford? That would be refreshing. But the more I think about it, it's like, you know what? It's going to take more than one draft for this team to start contending again. It's going to take a couple drafts. So, okay, if they build up the guard core, because Maxey can't play all 40 minutes every night. And, they need to have depth on the bench. So if they have like 4 really solid guards every game, that's good. That's something you can build on. Next draft, next year, maybe I gotta focus on getting some bigger guys, right? So I mean, if they draft a guard next year, you could just pull your hair out and say, "What the hell? Why are you drafting guards?" But like anything, you can't say it's good or bad until you see the guy play, right? Once he's up against NBA competition, then you'll know if it was a good thing or not. I'm kind of glad they didn't take this Ace Bagley guy. He refused to work out with anyone. He had an appointment with the Sixers and canceled it. He refused to be interviewed. I mean, who the hell is he? He's like poop don't smell. That's who the hell is he? He would have been an attitude problem, a problem child. You don't want that, So they passed on him and they let him go. I think Utah took him, So I think that was a good move. Why draft a guy like that who's a head case anyway? We already had Ben Simmons, for God's sakes, right? You don't want to know Ben Simmons like pants. And the Phillies got shut out again last night. 2-0. 2-0, as they say in soccer terms. Been shut out 18 innings in Houston. 1-0, 2-0. They play this afternoon in about an hour and a half down in Houston again. I'm going to get at Houston. It's like a house of horrors, isn't it? That is, ever since the World Series, Phillies never do any good there. Even when the Astrodome was open, they always had trouble, except for the year they won the World Championship in 1980. Then they did okay. But otherwise, they always had trouble with it for some reason. Anyway, so after today, the Phillies pick up and travel to Atlanta, where they have 3 games over the weekend with the Braves, who suddenly, because the Braves are starting to beat the Nets and stuff, but the Braves are starting to come up from behind. I don't think they're going to catch up, but it would be nice if the Phillies got their act together in Atlanta and started winning a few games. They are still a half game in first place over the dreaded evil New York Mets. And I think, I told you this before, I think this race is going to go back and forth all summer, all the way to September and October. So it's just that close, you know. So we'll see what happens. Phillies definitely needs to know. We know they need bullpen help, but now it looks like they need a bat. A bat. So we're talking about the mammal kind that flies around. They need a bat. Um, because how can you trust this team? How can you go into the playoffs thinking, are are these guys going to show up or not show up? Like last year, year before, when they forgot how to hit, how Bogue shut it down, Nick Castellanos shut it down, Bryson Stott shut it down. Can you really trust them to do the same thing? I don't know. So I think the Phillies definitely need another hitter to kind of just uh, juice them up a little. Because the same old, same old. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know. Listen to that. Katie is across the hall. Because Katie dog, she's a dog. In case you haven't tuned into my program. And if you haven't, well, I haven't. Katie the dog is across the hall sleeping and listening to yacht rock. Yacht rock. Yeah. So she's kind of driving me. No, I like the yacht rock. I do. It's like, sheep eat animals. There's Coco here on the bed. Hi, Coco. Uh, they'll listen to anything. I haven't tried putting on Led Zeppelin, hate the headbanger or something. But they do listen to a lot of things. I think yesterday I had Frank Sinatra for the summer wind, blowing in across this. You know what? Speaking of which, I was with you yesterday, and we were talking about the passing of Bobby Sherman. And 81, he died, and how he was a teen idol back in the day. And I sang graciously enough. I sang a few of his songs for you, like in a little melody. And after I had finished with the podcast, I couldn't stop singing all that. I was just singing my little heart out all day long for the dogs, for Holly, for anybody who would listen to me. Um, in fact, and I got into this Bobby Sherman thing, like his spirit came into my body, because he used to always go, hey, hey, little girl, hey, hey. So I started doing that to the dogs, hey, Coco, hey, how about you going out in the yard and pee-pee? Hey, anyway, maybe that's my next short story, because that's by the story of Bobby Sherman. I don't know. Maybe it would work. Speaking of which, one of these great publishers online has given me a really nice honor. I sent them an email back earlier in the year, pitching my short stories. And they never got the email until recently. Where it went, I don't know. Somebody stole it or they lost it or something. That's something. But they wrote to me yesterday and they said, Gregory, we're sorry we lost your email, but we love the story you sent us. We love it. If by chance nobody else has published it yet, we'd love to publish it. So I got back to them and said, sure, I have the rights to publish it. And they're going to do it this weekend. And it's the story I wrote called Waiting for Her. It's a Christmas story. And it's romantic and it's got this supernatural thing about it, as all my short stories do. So not only are they going to publish that, they're doing a double header with me. I sent them a copy of The Pond, which is like the most popular short story, and one of my personal favorites. And they said, delightful. We love to publish that too. So it's going to be like a double header, as if you haven't had enough of it. It's going to be back-to-back days, two of my stories featured on their website. So that's really nice, That's really nice. If you follow me on X or Facebook, you'll get the links over the weekend. Go and check out the stores. So here you go. So that's good news. That is really good news. What else is happening before I leave? Oh, I saw this today. Today is Wawa Hoagie Day around the area. You guys, do you know what? First of all, do you know what hoagie is? Because you might be watching me from like Asia, because I have a lot of fans out that way, and or you might be watching me from like Ireland, or uh, I have fans out there too, and saying, "What is a hoagie?" Well, around the area, in different parts of the country, there's some people call them subs, submarines, Zeps. They're a long sandwich and a roll. You put lunch meat in there, cheese, maybe some peppers and onions. Maybe you put some lettuce and tomatoes in there, and you make up a nice hoagie. And so we call it hoagie in this area. Just like we don't use the term we're going to the beach. We use the term we are going to the shore. The shore. That's the South Philly, South Jersey. That's the way we talk around this area. Shore. So anyway, today is Wawa Hoagie Day. And so Wawa, in case you don't know, do I have to explain everything? It is a convenience store in the area. Kind of like, do you have sheets around your place? No, I'm not I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not saying you have to shit yourself. I haven't said that. I'm saying, do you have sheets? Sheets. Sheets is another convenience store. I believe it's like in Western Pennsylvania. The people around Pittsburgh would know walking about. Everybody has convenience stores, no matter where you live. Kind of like the little stores that we go into, and when you want a snack, or you wanna get a hoagie, and you want to go in there, and you just want something fast, you know. And that's what Wawa is. Excuse me. Cheers. I have cotton mouth. So Wawa is the best. I don't, I've never been to all these other phony convenience stores. I haven't been. I've been to Sheets. I mean, I've had good Sheets because they're Pennsylvania. But they did a poll. Don't ask me to source the quote the source or whatever. They did a poll once, not that long ago. Say, what are the best convenience stores in the country? Did you know Wawa was number one? Number one, Wawa. And to point out how great they are, Wawa every year does what around the area calls what they call the Hoagie Fest. Hoagie Fest, where they make like 10,000 hoagies and they give them away for free around the Philadelphia area. And they always have a big celebration around the 4th of July because we get a lot of tourists coming in to see the Liberty Bell and Independence Hall around the 4th of July. So Wawa is like the big sponsor. So today is Hoagie Fest. It kicks off the 4th of July celebration. And mind you, we aren't that far, but we are like 8 days away from the 4th of July. Can you believe that? I said, this summer's going fast. Those kids are out of school. Their little hindies are gonna be back in school again before you know it. Yikes. So anyway, so Wawa's the greatest, and I don't care what you say. Wawa is the best. Soft pretzels, they have anything. Ice cream. Oh God, they have everything. So I would say go out and get yourself a hoagie today. And if you're watching me from, I don't know, Montana or something, a place, find a convenience store and go and get something. You know, any kind of sandwich, okay? You may not have hoagies out that way. I feel sorry for you if you don't. But That's the great thing about Philadelphia. Cheesesteaks, but hoagies are another part of it that we are very proud of. Just like Tasty Cake. Don't get me on that. And look up Tasty Cake, Google it. But someday I'll talk about it. Tasty Cake is the best too. Wow. And so I'm very lucky to be living in this area. Not only is it a good area to live in, the weather's it gets muggy in the summer, yeah, but we don't get any big storms. We don't get too many blizzards, not like when I was a kid. But it's a nice area to live. And what's great about this area too is the food. Did you see my eyes light up? The food, the food. Yeah, I mean, you got your soft pretzels and your tasty cakes, and people know what I'm talking about. Like the people who watch me and listen to me down at the University of Pennsylvania. Hi, Allie and Dr. Carol Kalish. They know what I'm talking about. This is the best food around this area. So, I would say go out and get a hoagie. Speaking of which, here's the last thing I'm going to say before I leave. I see that the restaurant, Roy Rogers, is coming back. You see that? That's like a part of my youth. I think the first fast food place in Phoenixville, where I live, we had a Roy Rogers. And we didn't know back in the 60s, nobody knew what fast food was. Everybody ate healthy. But, fast food, we got a Roy Rogers in town before we got a McDonald's or a Burger King. Do you believe that? Roy Rogers sort of went out of business for a while, just left tail on him. But they're coming back instead. In fact, I think they're opening a new Roy Rogers around me somewhere. And people are actually camping out. Get this, to get into the door, to be one of the first people to go in and sit and eat at Roy Rogers. What the hell? You're sitting out there in 100-degree weather, literally 100 degrees. It feels like 110 with the humidity. And you're sitting there waiting to get into the fast food restaurant so you could eat at Roy Rogers. I mean, it's not like it's going anywhere. No. To each his own, right? Maybe you have nothing else to do with your life. Maybe you want to sit there in your lawn chair and wait for the freaking Roy Rogers to open. Okay? It's up to you. But I just find it odd. I really do. But Roy Rogers had the best chicken, even better than KFC. KFC came along too. We had KFC. In fact, at that exact location, I wish I could show you a picture. The exact location of town. We've had a Roy Rogers, we've had a KFC. There's a Dunkin' Donuts there right now. Dunkin'. We had a pizza place. I don't know, this one location right there. We must have 4 or 5 different fast food restaurants since I was a kid. And we're talking like, 180 years ago? Give or take a few. So, yeah, but it's good to know Roy Rogers is back in the saddle again. I don't even know how many of you people know who Rogers was back in the day. He was this cowboy, and he had a cowgirl named Dale Evans, and his horse was named Trigger, white horse. And yeah, used to watch him on TV shorts, and he would be in the movies, Roy Rogers. He got wealthy for being in movies, and he went into the restaurant business, and he made even more money. So there you go. The American dream. All right. I guess that's it. You know what? I'm going to come right back because I'm going to post this online so you can watch it. And I'm going to come back and we're going to do a little bit of Remember When. Because I have a few topics from the 60s, 70s, and 80s that you might like to share. We've been doing this segment for a couple weeks now, and it's kind of fun to go back and reminisce about those times Or maybe even if you weren't alive during that time, maybe you're a young whippersnapper and you were just in your 20s or something, and you have no clue about the 60s, 70s, or 80s. Well, that's why I'm here, boys and girls, to enlighten you and to entertain you. So I will be back after the post. So peace and love, everybody. Go Eagles. They're not playing for a couple months, but go anyway. And go Phillies in about an hour. Beat those Houston Astros. Take care. God bless. See you soon. Bye. Thanks for watching me or listening to me. Whatever. Whatever.